A big warm welcome to someone who's very much stood out for me and who's seems very connectable, a CEO and founder of an international magazine, Wymag. Thank you very much, Shar Moore.
Thank you very much for having me, Troy.
Well, sometimes I have to work really, really hard to connect with people, and I know your time is hugely valuable. This time it just seemed to work, and that's something I really want to talk about today. Is when you seem to be on your path or purposeful trend in life, things sort of open up for you a little bit easier than normal. And that's, I'm not saying that you're easily approachable or easily connected to, but I just felt right to me. So thanks again for coming on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Look, any way that I can help people shift from where they are to where they want to be, I'm there.
Let's talk about today. If you wouldn't mind, I'm not a big fan of going right back to the beginning and telling us your whole story, but something about your childhood extremely is intriguing to me. So could you just paint a little picture of where you come from, I guess?
Yeah, look, absolutely, and I'm the same. I think we need to live in the present and move forward, but our past definitely dictates a little bit about our direction. So, in a real quick nutshell, I'm Indian, born in Thailand. At the age of 4, I moved out to Australia, but because I was born into that Indian heritage and tradition, at the age of 11, my grandmother had orchestrated for my betrothal to a man who was 9 years older than me. So, at the age of 11, I was engaged until the age of 15 and a half. And my stepdad and my daddy, who raised me, who was Australian, passed away a number of years ago now, but he found out about that situation at 15 and a half, and he pretty much sat down with me when he learned about it and gave me one of those decisions and choices that I didn't know existed, because when you're groomed as an Indian girl, your whole life is dictated for you. And at the age of 16, I should have been moving to Bangkok and having my first child. So when your best friend, your mentor, your absolute idol sits in front of you, looks you in the eye and asks you a question of, is this what you want? And when you've grown up, it doesn't matter whoever's listening to this, if you've grown up in an environment where you may have been in the shadow of someone in your family or a sibling, you will know what this feels like. And if dictated to your whole life and you have this person sitting there going, well, what would you like to do? I'd never been asked my opinion before. So I realised in that moment, it was literally that click of her fingers, my whole life could have pivoted either way. And I said no, and my whole life just catapulted from there. And then I was basically given the opportunity to choose my own destiny. So that led me on this path. It's like when you come off a diet, Troy, you come off a diet and you just run to the closest donut shop, right? You eat everything that you could eat for the last month. And I felt like I'd lived my whole life on a diet of life. And so at that age, I'm like, wow, I'm going to move out of home. I'm going to go get a job, because when you're groomed to be married off at a young age, you don't really need to focus on education. So I barely got through year 11. I have no formal credentials. And I started working, and on the day that I started working as a secretary at a company, my husband, now of nearly 25 years next month, started on the same day. So I got to choose the man that I wanted to marry, have kids, and we go on from there. So that's formed a lot of my decisions and the life that we've lived through that incident.
So fast forward a lot of years to now, a very successful magazine, Y Mag, that empowers women all around the world. That wasn't born overnight. So just tell us about that magazine. That's obviously a massive, like the power of choice for women.
Oh, totally. And, in this day and time where they're saying it's time, and there's a lot of the Me Too hashtag running around at the moment, and women are really standing up going, you know what, it is my time. It's okay that it's all about me. It's okay for me to shine and be the best version of myself. But Wymag, actually, the journey of Wymag started 5 years ago. So I was, when we moved back to Australia, so we lived in Thailand and then the Middle East. I ran my own businesses, worked in corporate. And we moved back to Australia, and I became a qualified image consultant and personal stylist, and I opened a high-end fashion boutique. And unfortunately, the Queensland floods came through, and indirectly we were affected, and our business basically went down. We were doing thousands of dollars a day without really trying so hard, and I don't mean that lightly. We marketed a lot, but it just came to us. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting there facing bankruptcy on the bathroom floor at 2 o'clock in the morning, sobbing, saying to myself, see, an Indian girl can't be successful. She can't achieve anything. Or everyone was right. What are you doing? So again, another crossroad. And as I picked myself up, I reminded myself that there must be other women out there struggling. So I walked myself into the local newsagent to look for a magazine like Wymag that was all about real people, everyday people, not celebrities. And nothing wrong with celebrities, but they're portrayed really badly. And real people doing real things, price points of products and services that you can actually afford, everyday stories. And I couldn't find anything. So I thought, oh, how hard can it be? I loved Gandhi's quote, be the change you want to see in the world. So I thought I'll start my own magazine. And because I'm known as the why woman, I always ask people, why do you do what you do, Troy? Not what do you do? I don't want to know about your headspace until I know what's in your heart. And so I started Wymag digitally, and it ran online for 4.5 years. And then we got this overwhelming response from women when we did some research for 8 months. Well, why have you stopped buying a printed magazine? And it turned out it wasn't anything to do with the fact that they didn't want a print magazine to hold. They didn't want the feel, the tactileness of it. They were actually sick of being lied to, sick of being gossiped to, sick of being made to feel bad that they were carrying a bit of weight or had an extra wrinkle. So they said, if you print Wymag, we'll back you. So that's how Wymag happened. I crowdfunded. I thought, well, let's get them to put their money where their mouth is. So, from pledges starting at $4 up to $6,000, we had a goal to reach $16,000, which was our first print run bill, and we went to $21,000. And wow. Wymag launched around Australia in print form last July.
When you head down a road, I firmly believe this, and I've seen it firsthand, and you just spoke about it beautifully. When you head down a road, the one you were built for, the one that the gift tells you about or shows you or helps guide you towards, the one that Wymag helps you unfold, when you head down that road, I think the world opens up a little bit in a special way, whether you get crowdfunded or whatever it is. But I know when you head down a path that was destined for you, then the world acts a little bit differently, you know. I love what you just said about, I don't need to know what's in your headspace. I really want to know what's in your heart first. You know, like if everyone can just pause and ponder that for a little bit on this show right now, is if you can ask yourself, what is in your heart? What is in my heart right now? That pathway, I'm sure, will unfold. I live an hour north, and I didn't know this about, I read it about your store being flooded. I live an hour north of that. And I remember those floods, they were horrendous. How important is it, because I went through anxiety, like major anxiety a few years ago. How important is it for people like you and me and everyone else is not to hold on to that story and make that the playbook, like poor old me, you know, and then dote on that affection from others. How important is to grab that and tell yourself an empowering story about it?
Oh, it's critical actually to who you are today and who you'll become tomorrow. But here's the thing, Troy, like we are human beings, and to say that anyone out there wears this shield that it doesn't matter what happens to them, they've got superpowers and they can deflect, that's rubbish. Because we are all human beings, and if you operate from a heart space like you and I do, what you're doing with the gift is a heart space. You've put this together to help other people, the same way that we have with Wymag. So when things like that happen, it absolutely gets under our skin. It crushes us. So you need a moment where you can ring your closest and nearest and dearest to you, pour your heart out, pour the tears out, have a few boxes of Kleenex that you go through, have a cup wines, which at Wymag we're all about the wine, and you have to do that. But then here's the thing, if you stay there, you've then turned that situation in life into something that is now your story. So you need to take what you need to take from that. There are always lessons. I don't believe in the F word. I believe the F word that people say is failure is not. It's an actual lesson in a dirty wrapping Christmas gift, but it's still a lesson.
I thought you were going to drop the F-bomb on the show then.
Never do that. The F word people think is that, no, the F word and failure is not a word we should use either. It's as bad as the other F word, because if you look at everything that's happened in your life, everything that you call the F word, the failure, has actually been a hidden gift. And every stepping stone along the way, be it good, bad or otherwise, has led you and I, Troy, right here, right now. And if you're listening, it's led you to where you are as well. So I picked up the lessons from that and I said, right, if I've gone through that, there must be other people suffering. So why don't I take the lessons from that and help other people? So I launched a 12-month webinar series. I started 2 new businesses, one being the Wymag and the second being a business networking group on the east coast of Australia, where we got all of these people who were struggling in business together monthly in a membership form. We had a guest speaker to empower and educate them. And I went broke to BMW in 18 months. So facing bankruptcy, quite a few $100,000 of debt to purchasing my Miss Mango, my yellow BMW. And then I wrote a book to recount the steps to help other people. So I didn't just sit and wallow and go, please feel sorry for me. I didn't make the rain happen. Why is it my fault my business is going under and I've got debtors chasing me? I turned that into a positive. So it doesn't matter what you've gone through. Look at it, go, right, what lesson can I get? What mentor do I now find to help me on this next step, and get on with it?
Absolutely. You mentioned let the tears flow and be heartfelt. You know, I'm a huge empath, and I dare say you are as well. That's why you connect so beautifully with people. On your website, people should check this out. There's 2 little girls, I believe they'd be from Thailand, and they're holding a sign in their hand that says, "We have dreams too." Yeah. And this morning when I looked at it again, I nearly cried because it's just so beautiful and empowering that, yes, everyone on this planet has a dream, and you need to be yourself and raw and authentic to say, okay, I do have a dream. Now what is that for me? And I just love everything about your site.
Thank you. Look, I just think it's about, what we stand for at Wymag is all about empowering people, and we are targeted to women, but it's about empowering people just to be the best version of themselves. And this is the thing that people constantly go around with. They use the C word, which is not a swear one, but it should be. They compare all the time. So they're constantly looking at someone else going, oh, but she has this and he has that, and he has his own podcast show. They're constantly doing that. And if we stop doing that for a moment, 1, it's extremely exhausting, it's disempowering, and 3, I don't want to be you and you don't want to be me. But what if you are, and you are now, being the best version of yourself, and I'm being the best version of myself? Isn't that what we're actually born to be? Often when I get off a stage, because I speak all over the world, and it doesn't matter the size of the room, but I'll get off a stage and some people will come up and go, oh, Shar, you're the next Oprah. And I said, look, and I love you for saying that, and I adore Oprah and what she stands for, but can I say something? And they go, yeah, Shar. And I say, can I just be the first Sharpra? Yes. I don't want to be the next Oprah. I want to be the best version of me. I have this quirky Indian sense of humour. I operate from a space that I love and I'm so comfortable with, that I just want to be the best version of me. And if you're sitting here, you're listening to this, whether you're driving or, I don't know if you say don't operate heavy equipment when you're listening to this podcast show, but
I should.
It should. But if you're sitting in your safe space, ask yourself, are you being the best version of yourself? And if not, how can you be?
Exactly. If people can remember this for a moment, when I went through everything I went through and have learnt so much from it, I went out and asked some huge questions. I wanted the answers really, really quick. So I began to connect with people from all over the world. But there's not a day that doesn't go by where I struggle still in my head. Like, I don't get trapped there, but I definitely question myself daily. Like, really, should I be interviewing Shar Moore, someone who's quite, experienced in her field and developed this wonderful market? Who do I think I am? Am I really entitled to that? But then I take this step and say, okay, let's question it. Let's challenge that belief. And I've found over the last few years, the more and more I do that, those questions lose that little bit of crunch, they don't sort of rattle me anymore.
And I guess the question back is to you, Troy, who are you not to be? Because how to me, like, I'm not saying I'm on any pedestal, but and I've got a long way to go on my journey, but I'm my whole being and my whole purpose is to be on shows like this, is to have casual conversations with people like you, because if 2 people that are listening today get something out of my message and they stop and you go, you know what, I'm going to press the treadmill pause button for a moment of my crazy life, and I don't even know how I've got here, and I'm going to stop and ask some hard questions that Troy and Shar have said today. If we can make that impact, isn't that what we're here for? My favourite quote, which I put in the magazine, I think last issue or the one before, and it's a bit of a head jumble, but if you think about it, it makes some sense. It goes, if I'm being you and you're being me, who's being you and who's being me? So if we constantly step into the other person because we want to be like them, we've stepped out of ourselves. So who's actually being us? Every one of us is unique. And you're saying the gift, I'm saying the why, the purpose. But the only thing that separates you from your so-called competition, another C word I never use, the only thing that separates you is your why, your purpose, your gift, your reason for being here. And when you can harness that, wow, floodgates open and the universe seriously does conspire in your favor every time.
I love it. I love it. I love The Alchemist, the book, the audio. I think I've listened 100 times, and they talk about your personal legacy. What you just said is like, my spot's taken. You know, Troy Devine's taken. Shar Moore's taken. Get your own spot. You know, like that's exactly it. And I would implore people who are stuck on social media all day long and feel drained and frustrated at life. It's because they're trying to take somebody else's spot. Get your own.
They're comparing, and social media, as I call it, can be a really negative place. You've got to be really careful when you play on social media, because very easy to get sucked into this fake life. And I prefer to call it fake book. There's not many people on Facebook that are real. A lot of it's fake book. They project these beautiful, perfect life. You know, they never break a nail. They never get a scratch. And that's who relates to that, Troy. And that's why we put Wymag together. We wanted something real. We wanted to share stories from around the world of the highs and the lows, not just the glossy, fancy lifestyle. Don't get me wrong. I adore shiny objects and beautiful things and looking after my family. Oh, and traveling, so adore it. But does it make me and define me? Absolutely not. If you get one message from today on your Facebook page that thanks me for being there, for me, that's more payment than my beautiful car and jewelry and all the rest of it.
Yeah, the connection to people once you see that light bulb moment turn for them is just it's priceless, right? Like no amount of client, money coming in just can replace that for me. No. So okay, so now we know, or let's picture where we want to go. Sometimes you're not real clear on that. How, for me, when I knew I had a purpose, I knew I could act or play a bigger game in this life, if you like. I didn't know what that purpose was. I didn't know what my message was, or who my true identity was. So I waited and waited and waited for that purpose to come along, that real clear moment. So what do you think when I say that instead of waiting until your life gets perfect or even clear, you need to get to work? You need to start inspiring other people, because I think I've got this off your side as well. You need to uplift those around you at the same time as growing yourself.
Definitely. Absolutely. And I think that, look, it's like the analogy of how do you steer a parked car? You can't. The car has to be moving for you to be able to steer it in a certain direction. So if you're sitting in the driveway trying to steer your vehicle of life, you will get zero. You'll get nowhere. And in 5 years, I guarantee you can jump on and listen to this show again and you'll still be in the same spot. So start moving forward. And here's the thing, Troy, we all have our own answers. We often need, like I have 3 mentors at any given time, not just business-wise, but mindset, health, body, whatever. And to think that you can get through this journey without one is a little naive. There's a saying that you can either pay for a mentor now or pay for it in lost opportunities in the future, but either way you're going to pay. As someone that's walked your walk and done it, you need someone guiding you. But to get that clarity, you have your own answers already. Here's what we do as human beings, and it's not just everyone listening, and me as well. I do it every day. I'm much better now, of course. But when we ask ourselves, the one question I've asked myself consistently throughout my journey has been, what's the right next move for me right now? And then here's the thing you need to do, which we don't do. You have to stop and listen for your own answer. Because often, like there's 4 major projects coming up for me internationally, and I have to choose which one I do now and which one I shelve. And I have a shiny book. So we did some 2018 planners this year with Lisa Pollock, and I've got a spare one, and it's called my Shiny Object Book. So when I come up with the idea, it doesn't mean it's a bad one, but it means that I need to put it in there, and then I do my due diligence of what's going to work now, what's going to work for later. But I want to shelve it because it could be $1 billion idea next year, right? So put your ideas somewhere. But when you ask that, what's the right next move for me, then listen to the answer and don't second guess it. This is what we do wrong. We then pick holes in it. If it says, Troy, you should start your own podcast show, and they go, oh, why would I do that? Who would listen to me? Who would come on my show? Well, if you then pick holes through it, you've lost the idea. You didn't, of course, because here we are. But so many people go, you should start your own business, or you should contact so-and-so, and they go, oh, why would Oprah listen to me? We just gifted Oprah and Ellen and all these celebrities. They're reading Wymag right now, I'm presuming, because I visualise them every day holding the magazine with a cup of tea and reading it. But who would have thought that my magazine that I created at 2 o'clock in the morning would be sitting in their hands? So don't second guess yourself. Ask the question, be quiet, go within, listen to the answer, and start driving your vehicle.
So would you say that's intuition? I love the gut feeling for me. And by the way, what you just said, this is like the 900th thing that come across my mind. It wasn't. I didn't start my podcast straight away because I was questioning constantly. And I got to the 15th exercise and I thought, no, that's it. What you just said was perfect. I just shut everything up. I thought, no, it feels right. I'm going to go with my heart this time. I'm not going to listen to my head, which feels frustrated, angry, in comparison to everyone else. I'm just going to go with the heart on this one. It does feel hard and it does feel uncertain. And I've got no idea how to do it or where it's going to end, but you just have to follow your heart.
Absolutely.
So with intuition, how or what does it sound like? Like I know what it is, but it's such a hard thing to define or even talk about, conceptualize, if you like.
Look, it is. And again, we're not used to tapping into it. So intuition, I call it your internal GPS system, which is where your why is hiding, by the way, because Mark Twain has a beautiful quote. The two main reasons you're born in life, two most important days of your life are when you're born and when you know why. So every one of us has this internal GPS system that guides us all the time. Some people call it a gut feeling. Some people call it intuition. I call it your internal GPS system. It's already programmed to get you along your journey. No one wants to get to the final destination because the final destination is a box 6 foot under the ground, right? We're supposed to enjoy the journey. So it's already programmed with all the stops you need to make along the way. We have to stop second guessing it. If you sat still, like I said before, and asked yourself those questions and wrote down everything that your soul is trying to push out to you and screaming to you that hasn't been heard for years, and you can filter through all the limiting beliefs and I can't do this and I'm not good enough and all that negative stuff, it's all what's called below the line thinking. If you want to Google this, if you're listening now, Google above the line thinking chart, and it's an infographic, and it will show you the thoughts that happen above the line that keep us positive and the thoughts that happen below the line. And one is scarcity based and one is abundance based. I had it in my office for years, and as soon as I'd have a negative thought about a project, I'd look on the line and go, ooh, I'm below the line. Flick that around, what's the opposite? And I would stay in that high vibration. So we all have that intuition, internal GPS, gut feeling, whatever you call it. It's just we don't listen to it enough.
And today is that day in the Mark Twain quote, the day you find out why. Today is that day for a lot of people. And for me, it's just an amazing thing. The whole shift for me that changed everything was becoming aware.
Yeah.
I was on autopilot my whole life. I'd go to work. I'd sell myself short for 5 long days to live expressing myself fully for 2. And the day I started questioning that, although life couldn't come quick enough and I was really frustrated, but I become aware. I started listening to the questions I was asking people and the value I was bringing to the world. And it wasn't, I'll tell you what, it wasn't anything to write home about, but that was my shift. So listen to what Shar says, and if that's your intuition, that internal guidance system, your GPS, then I think if you become aware of that, you're actually opening the doorway so it comes out and just sort of speaks to you.
Definitely. And look, we have courses. I've written 2 books. We have, because people need some tools and guidance. It's not always easy to go, well, how do I do that? So there's loads of them out there. You can Google it to death. We, of course, have them within our brains, but you can Google them and find them and sign up to them. And there's always going to be someone who will help you just peel away the layers. Unfortunately, in society, Troy, over the years, we've been groomed and conditioned that is what we're meant to do. You are meant to work yourself to the bone for normally a meager existence, and then rinse and repeat. I talk to people from stages. It's like we live in a washing machine and we're just constantly washing all week, and then we rinse and repeat on the weekend and we do it again. And we do that for 40, 50 years. And then if we're lucky, we get a bit of retirement time to live the life that we were given. Otherwise, we can drop dead a week after we retire, and we hear that story so much. It doesn't matter how old you are if you're listening to this. Why not make today that day, that line in the sand that you cross over and say, you know what, today is the day I'm going to start to uncover my why and my purpose in life and find my gift and unwrap it and go out and live life in full colour.
I'm just letting that resonate and sink in a little bit more, because if I had heard that 3 or 4 years ago, you would have been the person to change my life then, because that's gold information right there. For me, and for all of us, I believe it's a step-by-step process. You must understand that the journey is the journey. You need to know that you're building something magical here and be appreciative and aware of that along the way. But step number one is today, if it's really clear, is that if you're not happy, you're not happy. Step number one. And step number two is becoming aware, asking better questions, listening to that internal GPS. But step number three, and which we want to talk about now, is you've got to make it bigger than yourself, right?
Yeah.
Life, although I encourage people to be selfish, a new age selfish, you need to build yourself in such a way where you have to come first, but in doing that, you put other people first. So how important is a legacy? I've got a bit of an idea where your legacy lies, but I'd love to talk about that now. Is as soon as we get out of our own way and make life about others, it becomes more purposeful, it has more meaning, we have more drive to get out of bed in the morning. So what is the thing that's bigger than you, Shar?
Oh, look, most definitely. And, you know, that pivotal moment when my dad held my hands at the age of 15 and a half as a child and gave me a chance to choose my destiny, I realised as I grew into my 20s and started having my own family that was incredibly powerful. And what he'd given to me at the time I didn't understand, and that was the gift that he gave me. So I thought, how do I pay that forward? So I then made a decision then in my 20s, and I just had my second son, that I was going to help underprivileged children in Thailand and then Asia have a chance to choose their destiny. So work with orphanages. At some point for many years we were going to start our own, and then the legalities and red tape, because so many people have obviously done the wrong thing when they set up a charity, we then decided to partner with Hands Across the Water. So we're now fundraising $300,000 for their 8th home in Thailand for 40 children. So those kids have become displaced because of either parents passing away, AIDS, accidents, whatever, and they've ended up basically either on the street where mafia take them and put them through their systems. And I've lived in Thailand and worked there, and I've seen little girls and heard about little girls in rooms, you know, at the age of 4 and 5 as prostitution. So I realised then that that's my gift. That's what my dad gave to me. I'm going to pay forward to as many children as I can. Now, when you're sitting on the bathroom floor at 2 o'clock in the morning with hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt, feeling like a typical failure, you've let your family down, your friends down, you've let suppliers down, everyone down. If your why isn't big enough to pick you up off that bathroom floor, it's not your why. I then made a decision that if I stayed on that floor and spiraled down into depression and declared bankruptcy, those children, and I pictured them, would still be on the street, still being taken into motel rooms and sold for prostitution because I didn't get up. Now, if you think you know your why and it won't get you up out of a situation like that, it is not your purpose. It's not your why. And I know I can't run the facility, but I have the power and I have the gift of voice. Even though as an Indian girl, I was told my voice didn't matter and I had nothing important to say, I have a gift. I'm a high-level paid keynote speaker around the world. And I know I can speak from stages and rally up support, and if everyone puts in $1 or 2 here and there, we'll hit our $300,000. So use your gift to empower and support your why and make the difference, and that's my legacy.
Yeah, so Hands Across the Water, is that what it is?
Hands Across the Water, it's run by OAM Peter Baines. He was the first person on the ground. He was with the CIA or something at the time, and he was the first person on the ground after the tsunami went through in Thailand. We were living there at the time actually, and we lost staff, and there were all these children displaced, and he made a decision to quit his job and go and start Hands Across the Water. And it's incredible, and we fundraise for it every year, and we do a number of other projects, and a percentage of everything we do goes to them, because I know that's making a difference and repaying what my dad did for me.
So I know you just touched on it then, but why children? Like I know it's impacted your life personally at a very young age, but why children? Why are they important?
Well, I just think they're our future. And when you've lived in an Asian country like we have, and I was born there, but then we lived there as an adult, and I was in a hotel group at the time, and senior position, running around, flying all over the country, and you open the back door of a morning and security say, oh, there was another baby dump this morning near the bin. And you look at that and go, these children are helpless. And I was a child when I was put into that situation and wasn't protected, and I didn't choose that. Yet someone on the outside, my dad that raised me from the age of 4, saw that opportunity and saw that I could be. He saw me through his eyes, and he just said, I want you to be who I see in you, and I want to give you that chance. So for me, empowering children, they are our future, Troy. If we can empower them and give them a chance despite their circumstance and despite the fact that they've been, taken away from family by choice or death or whatever, and we can then make them the future, that for me is just, I am unstoppable when I think about my why.
Yeah, I have an 8-year-old girl, right, little girl, and it makes me emotional just to think about what you just said and picturing her face, putting those two together. When I say why children, why are they important, please don't think those who are listening that that I'm harsh and lowering the standard of kids, but I agree with you 100%. Imagine if we could get every child out of their head, this is what I'm about, and into their heart, and find how their individual message works together and then empowers the whole. I think the world's a dramatically different place in 50 years.
Oh, look, exactly. And I'm with you on that mission, because I'm looking at talking at schools this year actually for that reason. If I can help kids in year 10, 11 that are starting to think about, well, what am I going to do soon? If I can get them to start going into an industry or business based on their why, can you imagine in 20 years' time when we've got all these purposeful adults who have gone into a business, like I meet so many people on my stages, and people in their 40s, 50s and 60s who have said, oh my gosh, I've wasted all my life, I wish I'd met you years ago, because they've just gone into what they think they should do. Or often people fall into a career because it's the shortest line at university to sign up for, and they don't want to wait in the big queue because there's a party on the dorm afterwards, and they fall into it, they stay in it for 40 years, or their parents want them to do it. So if you and I can tap into that young generation and help them choose an industry that based on their passion and their purpose and their reason for being here, wow, we will not recognise the planet we live in.
Yes, and sometimes we can't see that far ahead. That's like 100-year plus legacy, and surely, purely because some people can't see that far ahead, they'll fail to act. But I can see that, and so can you. You can see that far ahead, and the shift that we're making now, we're being that change, as you say. I can envisage something very magical in about 50 to 100 years.
Well, absolutely, and we don't need to see the 100 years. It's like there's a little child on an aeroplane. He goes into the cockpit, sitting with the pilot, and they're travelling, say, from Sydney to New York, and it's cloudy, and obviously you can't see New York. And the child says, well, how do you know that you're going to get there? Like, you can't see it. He said, no, I can just see the next 100 metres, and then the next 100 metres after that. I don't, and you don't need to see that that's going to happen. But when we take our final walk on our beach of life, and it's the wet sand, the tide's going out, and we take those steps deep into the wet sand, we know we can look back at our life's journey, and we know when that tide washes in, our footprint is still going to be there. And for me, that's all that matters. In 100 years, someone will say, because of this person, and that person taught me, and it all started with Shar and the Wymag and Troy and Gift, they made that difference and that change in life. We know our legacy lived on way past us.
If you're not chasing your personal legend at this time in your life, I think whether you're 4, 14 or 400, I think there's a choice to be made today where you have to be. Now, for me, I don't know where I'm going to end up, and there's no final point where I say, I've made it. But as I walk along that beach, and thank you for painting that picture, because I live for the beach.
So do I.
As I walk along the beach and my feet sink that little bit into that deep sand, I'll know that I chased my personal legend my whole life, and that puts a smile on my face.
Absolutely. And that's what we all should be striving for, because seriously, when we pass away, we take zero with us, except what's in our heart. We don't take any of the jewelry, the clothes, any of that. We take memories and our heart hopefully full. So yes, we can chase it, and again, love nice things. But imagine if you could take your final breath knowing that there's been 100 people, even 10 people that you have empowered to change their life and make a difference because of you, and you stepping into your power and your why, your purpose, unwrapping your gift. If you do that, one, you give permission for them to do it, but two, you will never struggle. Life is in full momentum and flow.
So this is where I got stuck, right? When I started questioning life, I just froze. I was in that parked car, playing with the steering wheel, thinking I was moving down a highway, when actually I was 2 years later in the same parking spot. And there was like 19 parking fines on my windscreen, if you like, metaphorically. I believed like I was wasting time. I was 36 at the time, and I said to myself, it's past me. But the question I'm getting to is, if I don't know where to or what it is for me, is it really important to focus on that what it's not? Like if you don't know where to, is it happy or fair to say that, okay, I know exactly where I don't belong?
Yes, absolutely. So again, we need to go through experiences in life, be it work or relationships or whatever, to know what we don't want. And often that's why it's gifted to us. So look at what's not happy about your life. Look at all the areas. So there's a number of charts and things you can find online about the different sections, I guess, of your pizza, your life. So if you look at the money side, are you happy with that? If you look at the relationship side, if you look at the job side, the family side, etc., look at each area and rate yourself 0, 1 to 10. Where do you fit? Being 10, being gloriously, beamingly happy, like the sun shines through every orifice of your being, or are you like dragging yourself out of bed, or even the thought of it makes you feel sick? It's about really tapping into that and then looking at it going, right, if I equal all of that up, what does it come to? And when am I going to do something about it? People live in this myth that they own tomorrow. And I really wish people would just wake up, by a snap of a finger, own tomorrow. Because if you own tomorrow, we would all be doing things differently. We don't own tomorrow. So all we have is right now, in this moment, to make a decision by the snap of the fingers. Please make a decision today, tonight, because you don't know if you'll be here tomorrow. So bust that myth right now.
You have to own right now, like you just said. Own right now. This is the time that only counts, is right now. So for me as well, and in you saying that, pictures come to my mind. I was bullied at school. I remember being bullied at work by a boss, and this is well into my 30s. But I failed to stand up and make that personal choice. But now these small exercises that you mentioned, please don't think that they're worthless or irrelevant, because once I started writing my stuff down, it was like, okay, I'm bringing awareness to the situation. Now I can choose. Like, as soon as I stood up for myself and started making a personal choice that was conscious and not the one that I was reacting to, my life made a dramatic shift.
Oh, I bet it did. And, the why I hate the C word, comparing, is because everyone's definition, Troy, is so different. Everyone listening, like if you ask them I don't know if you have a Facebook page, I'm presuming you will, if you ask them what their definition of success, happiness, wealth, abundance, family, relationship, everyone will have something different. If someone says, oh, that's expensive, their definition of expensive is different. It could be $100, it could be $1 billion, depending on their definition. That's why we can't compare, because someone's definition of success, I feel I'm already successful. And it's not because I have all the things I'm wanting in my life. I have a happy, healthy family, grandkids. I'm a nanny to 2 beautiful boys. I've got a beautiful relationship. I've got great friends. That's my definition of success, and my business is booming in all the right places. So I'm successful, but someone else could go, oh, I could never be that. But everyone's definition is different. So do definition work. Write down the definition of all those areas of your life. And when you determine if you're succeeding in each one, then you'll start to get a clue for what you should be doing. And your gift, I love the name of the podcast show because it's something I talk about in a different way. But essentially, we're all born with this and given this beautiful gold wrapping, sparkly ribbons, huge big gift. It's like we're given it at the day of birth. And we carry it around with us on our back until we're ready to stop and go, oh my gosh, it's finally time I uncover and unwrap who I am and uncover that gift. And when you uncover it, wow, it's beautiful, amazing. People just come up to you and you become, I talked about it in my Chardonnay Way the other day, you become illuminating and magnetic. You illuminate. It's like you walk into a room and people just naturally gravitate to you because you're just beaming. There's no way you can't beam. And you become magnetic. They just get drawn towards you because you unwrapped your gift. And no one has your gift but you. You're the only one on the planet with it. So I love the name of the show, and it rings so true with what we do at Wymag.
Yeah, make no mistake. I'm exactly what you just said. Make no mistake, you are born with a gift. You are the gift. Make no mistake, there will come a day where you're asked to play the bigger game of life. Whether you like the tap on the shoulder that you receive or you make a personal choice to unwrap that gift yourself, make no mistake, you will be asked one day to finally explore yourself. And what you just said then, Shar, was, for me, I get people come to you and say, what is it about you? You know, you have this energy, we're attracted to you, we want to have a conversation. What is it about you? And the answer is, I'm just being me.
You're illuminating and magnetic because you've unwrapped your gift.
And it's just being you in every way. So that's the thing for me. Real quick before we ask you where we can find some more of this golden information of yours, the feedback in life is really important. Like when you start walking down your path, you can, like I can tell myself I want to be on Broadway and be a performer, but is the feedback real-time feedback? Is that saying that that's right? So the feedback you get, what do people come to you for? It's very important, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it is. And we all need validation. We're human beings. We want to know, are we on the right path? Did that make sense? Did that touch your heart? Did I make the difference that I came here to make? And validation is so important. The only thing I'd caution that is so many people get validated from the wrong people. And that is, again, why I recommend everyone has their own mentor, because, and a concept I created years ago, which is the circle of six. We all need the circle of six. So we need your raving fan, we need your cynic, we need your supporter. There's a number of people that fit into that, and people will come and go out of that circle of six, but make sure you're tapping and getting validation from people that can see you and the best version of you before you can. And that's, again, why we all need someone holding a hand and walking the journey. And yeah, we're all human beings. We want to know, when I do some webinars, of course, you sit in your office and I go live in my Chardonnay Way, and I'm sitting there just talking to my computer. So, of course, I need my ladies in the Chardonnay Way to send me the love hearts and write comments, because I need to know I'm on task, I'm on track. Are they even there still, or am I just sitting in my office talking to myself? So we all need validation. It doesn't matter what stage of the game you're at, whether you're playing your small game, medium game, or your big global game. We all need validation. It's critical, but get it from the right place.
I would also like to add, you don't always need validation from others. If you're struggling to find self-validation, which where it all starts, self-love, self-confidence, if you're relying on external factors all the time to feel good about yourself, I would certainly suggest you have the wrong supporters around you. For me, that was definitely my trend in life. I was looking for external factors to bring me alive. But what you said is spot on. So if you don't have the mentors or the people lifting you up in life, then I dare say you have a couple of people dragging you down, because it's safer for them to drag you down so they don't have to change.
That's right. And look, it takes them out of their comfort zone to hear what you're doing. So again, share your big, bright ideas with the right people, because often people around you, they often do it with love, but they still do it. And they'll say, why would you give up? Some of my private clients have given up highly paid corporate jobs to start their businesses for a few thousand a month while they get going, and they're being criticised by people around them. But when they plug into me, of course, I can see where we can take them. So make sure you're plugging into the right person and people, and just maybe distance yourself from certain people. Don't disconnect and defriend them on Facebook, but just distance yourself slightly from what you share with them just while you're going through that transitional stage. There's lots of mentors out there. my niche is transitional mentor. I take people from where they are to where they want to go, normally global businesses. But it's a different type of mentor. But you might just need a startup ideas person. There's different people out there for different things. So I guess ask the right questions, find the right person, and make sure they've achieved what you are wanting to achieve. Don't work with someone that hasn't. Don't work with a textbook coach. Lots of those out there by the dozen. Make sure that they've actually achieved what you want, and then they can show you the fast track.
That's it. What a way to sum it up. The magic is in the motion. And I can personally speak firsthand about that. If you sit on the couch or in that car and not move, you won't find anything. But the magic is in the motion. I once asked one of my first early mentors, how do I get going? Where do I find my life purpose? How can I contribute? And he basically turned his back on me, but as he walked away, he said, just get going. Start right here, right now. Infuriated me. I wanted to tackle the guy, but what you just said, all of that, just get going. The magic is in the motion.
Absolutely.
So I want to find more out about the wonderful Shar Moore. How can others reach out to you? And number one, thank you for coming on to the Gift Podcast and being real and authentic. But how can we get more info?
Look, I'm pretty easy to find. So Shar Moore, you'll probably share a link, but SharMoore.com.au. I also have my Shar Moore business page, and Wymag is the letter Y, ymag.com.au. The magazine's there for subscription digitally. We have a beautiful Facebook page and Instagram. It's pretty easy to find me. You can also email us through the website. There's a lot of information on the Shar Moore page about events that we run and the charity gala dinner. We're doing a national tour in July. So there's a lot of things that we have coming up. But look, if you want to find me, you certainly can. And I'd love to hear from anyone if it has been helpful. If there's been something that really triggered for you today, please let me know.
Yeah, shoot Shar Moore an email or a contact request and let her know what your number one takeaway from the show was today. We'll put all the links in the show notes, including like the foundation, Hands Across the Water, and all of that. So thanks again, Shar Moore, for coming on The Gift. I personally got a lot out of that interview.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me, Troy. Really appreciate it.